of this like commercial data, whether it's about a specific location, a specific commercial route, or the fact that, you know, employees have to opt in for their employer, do you think that these data problems are going to prevent adoption, or do you think that the trade-off or the opportunity is worth it?
I think if you unpack a little bit, why are there concerns over data sharing on the commercial side of things from the AV companies? There's pretty good reason. I mean, these guys are sitting on billions of investment that have gone into this technology. It's not trivial, and they've got a core of investors sitting behind them, making sure that they're going to get a return, a commercial return on that invest. So I mean, if you take a look, so I understand why they're protecting the data and why it's not, you know, kind of offered up on the table to everybody. One is from the IP perspective. So to make sure that they're not exposed to any reverse engineering. You've got competitor intelligence. It's pretty handy to know where there's peak demand for a robo-taxi service in San Francisco on a Saturday night. I don't want, you know, my competitors to have the same intel. And then I'm based in Europe, and so there's data protection that's of particular interest, and to go so far as to say it's existential interest. And so data sharing and opening yourselves up so that an employer policy, an employer can have some information, an insurance company can have some information, just from a technical perspective, can give you an unnecessary exposure. So I get it, but at the same time, there needs to be collaboration in order to break through and to get the AVs on the road. So we need to strike a balance, and so a quick plug from a technology perspective, but that's essentially what we've done at Simulating is we build digital twins of AV deployment environments. We can allow a specific AV company to drive through the digital twin, but we do it in a way that we don't have to understand the deep inner workings of the algorithms from the AV company, because that's on a need-to-know basis in a way. And I think that if we do take a progressive approach to what is actually a need-to-know basis, and we do that also from the insurance side of things, and we take data, but we don't ask for all of it and try and drink from a fire hose of data, but take it more selectively, then I think that we achieve the ultimate goal of getting the necessary data to help in the underwriting process, making sure that it's validated and it's usable, but without trying to overdo it, so to say, out of a kind of a data greed perspective.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely makes sense to strike the balance, especially since I don't know any AV companies that are big enough and not venture capital backed to be able to make an alternative approach to that. But maybe, Katie, you could weigh in on another side of this, which is that this data is also important for protecting the consumer. So from your perspective or kind of conversations with the NAIC, what is the perspective where you think regulation is going? Like, do the regulators need a backdoor to access this data? Does it become part of the filed model? Or is there a way that it can still stay a black box and everyone feels comfortable with agreeing to the filings?
Right. So from an NAIC insurance regulatory perspective, there's the data privacy issues and do people understand how their data is being used? Do they have the ability to make sure that it's correct, and all the important things that consumers need? The NAIC is in the process of trying to update its privacy standards with a model law. It has two models that some states have adopted and some haven't, and they're trying by the end of this year to have something that lives in the reality of sort of how everything's working with data and algorithms and different types of models. And then they're also looking at how to look at data, and they're trying to look at it now from the lens of how can we look at companies to make sure that they're doing the right things with the data, that they're not unfairly discriminating against consumers. And so they're working on a regulatory framework right now. It's principles-based, and we should get a better sense of it in the next month or so. But they look at it in different buckets, which is what's the data the company has, how are they using it, how are they buying it, who are they buying it from, and how do they understand where that data is coming from, and then how does it fit into the models. and how do the models work so that we can make sure from a regulatory perspective, there's, it's a fair marketplace.
No, it totally makes sense, and I'm glad to hear that it's principles-based and not hyper-specific, so it can continue to evolve